Misty, would you call the roll, please?
J.R. Huddleston,
Yes.
David Burris, Deborah Johnston.
Here.
Bill Lukens,
Here.
Larry Pratt,
Here.
Craig Romey,
Present.
Linda Varvel,
Here.
Melanie Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My giggling at you without a response was rude. We're having problems with our mail server again, so I'm not getting any email. As always, council, if you have any conflict of interest items, please let the council know before you vote. Need a motion to approve an amended agenda to add a new business item N. Will be discussion only. Changes to Ordinance 1237, 93.06 fireworks prior to July 4 holiday. We're not making any changes to the ordinance itself, but there are some significant changes to the ordinance from how we handled the fireworks last year. So just want to talk with you about those again before we get into the 4th of July holiday. So it'll be discussion only to talk about the changes to the ordinance.
I make a motion to approve an amended agenda, including item N, a new business. Discussion only, changes to ordinance 1237, 93.06 fireworks prior to July 4th holiday.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the minutes from the June 6th council meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 6th council meeting.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Motion to approve the minutes from the June 13th special meeting to canvass the election results.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 13th special meeting to canvass the election results.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
I abstain. I wasn't there.
Need a motion to approve the bills in between?
I make a motion to approve the bills in between in the amount of $214,083.22.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve the current claims.
Make a motion to approve the current claims, $522,669.57.
Second.
Discussion?
How come we have two charges for social media? It's on page 3.
We split the contribution towards that position between the city and the Business Improvement District Fund. So the 101 is the city and the 213 is bid. And we actually contribute this much twice a year.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Communications from the public. Is there anyone out there that would like to address the council? All right. We have a public hearing at 7:15, 7:20, and 7:30. We're about 6 minutes, actually 11 minutes away from our first public hearing. Well, let's see how far we can get through the agenda. Going to get a motion to approve personnel actions A through G.
Make a motion to approve personnel actions A through G.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to our loan ordinance. First reading of ordinance 1241, a supplemental appropriation ordinance.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1241, the supplemental appropriation ordinance.
Second the motion.
Discussion? Misty, would you call the roll, please?
J.R. Huddleston,
Yes.
Deborah Johnston,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Larry Pratt,
Yes.
Craig Romey,
Yes.
Linda Varvel.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, Melanie Wilson.
Yes.
Sorry.
The motion passes. On to resolutions. Resolution, first one A, 2022-16, a contingency transfer resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-16 contingency transfer resolution.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next one, Resolution B, 2022-17, a resolution to increase the wage scale for police chief.
Make a motion to approve 2022-17, a resolution to increase the wage scale for chief of police.
Second.
Discussion?
Does this go into effect right away or when?
Today,
Somebody say something?
didn't it say it goes into effect June 22nd?
Oh, yeah.
It's immediate.
Okay.
Any other questions? It'll go into effect tomorrow.
So will this increase the present chief's salary?
Yes.
Okay. At what percentage?
I don't have that percentage. I didn't know.
Whatever she's sitting at right now is essentially,
I believe she's at 98.
Yeah, any COLA increases and your dollar that you approve for all positions, those will carry over also.
oh, okay,
It'll be on the next agenda for you to approve her dollar amount
okay.
after you approve this resolution.
I kind of thought we was gonna, when we hire our new chief, that's when this is going into effect, because the old chief didn't want to have a raise until budget time. So I thought this is going to go into effect when we hire our new chief. That's what I thought.
We did discuss that
Yeah.
specifically.
You can make a motion to amend the, or ask to have the motion amended.
I know we did talk about that, making it effective with the, when the new chief comes in. I guess I personally believe the job that the current chief's doing warrants this. So I would support passing the ordinance as written.
Any other questions?
I'll go on record, I support it as written.
I do too.
Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Melanie Wilson,
Yes.
Linda Varvel,
Yes.
Craig Romey,
No.
Larry Pratt,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Deborah Johnston,
Yes,
J.R. Huddleston,
Yes.
I'll go on record saying that I will support it when we hire a new chief.
The motion passes. First new business item, possible motion discussion to approve changes to to the chief of police job description.
Make a motion to approve the changes to the chief of police job description.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah. Need to find it. We're jumping. Oh, I see it. How come it's so far back? Oh. Tried to get rid of it already. Why did we cross out of police? Just the chief. Why did that get crossed out through the whole thing? Just curious. It isn't on top of the title.
Yeah. So in the summary description, it flowed better to say the chief. We're still referring to the chief of police.
And let me find it. I'll try to hurry. Number 14. Now, does that go to whoever's president and vice president? Or is that just, I mean, that's getting like if, no offense, but if these two get voted out and two others get voted out in, that goes to whoever's in there, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yep. And why is that?
When we're talking about emergency situations, the conversations we've had at Municipal League, the mayor, finance officer, city administrator, council president, vice president, that's the group of people that are going to get together and help make the decisions that are necessary in an emergency. The mayor may not be here, the council president may not be here, as happened at the Vineyard Fire. And the council vice president wasn't here, and it fell to the chair of the public safety.
Okay. Okay, that's all I asked. Just find out why.
Yep. One change that didn't show up in red on your copies. I didn't get it highlighted that way. If you'll look at the desired minimum qualifications, recommending removing desired from minimum qualifications, and removing item number 2, removing the advanced degree in criminal justice or related field preferred, and move that down to desired qualifications. So this job description did not have desired qualifications originally, and that's where we moved the advanced degree in criminal justice or related field preference, or field preferred. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. We're just a little minute over, or over a minute from our first public hearing at 7:15. So if anyone in the audience wants to share anything, any family happenings, good news you want the public to know? Okay, it's 7:15. We'll open our first public hearing. To act on the special sale alcoholic beverage license applications from Hot Springs Rotary Club for the 4th of July street dance at Centennial Park to begin at 8 p.m. on July 2nd, 2022, and for the community picnic event to be held at the Mueller Civic Center, 801 South 6th Street, on July 4th, 2022, beginning at 11 a.m. Anybody in the public like to speak to either one of these? Anybody on the council has any questions? We need to prolong this for 5 minutes.
Are we going to have the reserves walking through the crowd there?
As many as we can, depending on their schedules and their willingness.
Yeah. The only concern I have with this is there's a lot of underage kids running around and stuff.
We're not putting it on, so we're not responsible for all that.
I didn't hear you.
We're not putting the event on.
I know, but it's in our park and
Yes.
I think the question
Doesn't make
from the
us
crowd was, do
responsible.
we have EMTs available as well?
The public needs to come up and say who they are, so I can get it on record if we're in the public hearing.
Robert Paul, 1327 Schofield Street, Hot Springs. I've made this comment once before. Both of these events are family-oriented type events. Question?
Yes.
Okay. Can we conceive of a time that we can have family-oriented events and not have alcohol? I'd really like to start showing our youth that, you know, we can have recreational times without having alcohol. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Anybody else with a comment needs to come to the mic.
And the only reason I ask that, I'm concerned because a lot of people set their drinks down when they go out and dance, and there's kids that walk around and stuff. And hard to say what they pick up and taste. So I agree with Bob or Robert Paul.
I think wristbands would be a good idea, at the least.
Bob, have you asked that question of any of the organizations that continue to schedule these kinds of things?
No, I'm sorry, I have not. And I realize that it is not the city and it is not the council that is putting these events on, but it is the council that is approving the dispensing of the alcohol. If you folks were to vote no, they would not be able to have it. And don't misunderstand, because the Kiwanis is a great organization. They do a lot of good work, and these other organizations are fine organizations too. And I understand that basically they are doing this as kind of a sponsor to benefit the community and also as a fundraiser. It's just, in my opinion, I would like to see him concentrate on other ways of doing this rather than having the alcohol. I mean, I have no skin in the game. I mean, it doesn't make any difference to me. If I don't want to have alcohol, I'm not going to have it. I'm a teetotaler myself, but you know, I think about this and I want to continue it maybe one step forward. Are we going to reach a point in the future if South Dakota legalizes recreational pot? Are we going to do pot at these events? I mean, what's the difference? We're talking about controlled substances of a sort. It's just at a public hearing. I don't feel as though when we have family-oriented community events on city property that we need to gravitate to having the sale and disbursement of alcohol. That's purely my own opinion.
Thank you.
Hi,
Oh,
my name is Sarah Leese, and I just have a couple of comments about that and some suggestions. I've been to a lot of festivals that do not have alcohol, and they have been very beneficial for the people that have been at these festivals. I also have been to many public events without alcohol. I'm also 29 years sober. So in my experience, there are a lot of things we can do without alcohol and controlled substances without having the detriment to the children and to younger people that might be there, and the trash. So there's a lot of trash that comes with alcohol consumption and food consumption. And if you create a situation where it's like you clean up after yourself and they set it up in that way, then people start to pay attention to how much trash and things that they're producing, you know. And as a town and a place where the hot springs are, you know, a viable thing here and things that are important to this town, that would be something that I would think would be really important to this town, is the amount of trash that is being produced and the amount of alcohol that's being exposed to the children and other activities in that way. So a suggestion would be to have daytime events without alcohol and then nighttime events that are adults only, 18 and over, or 21 and over. So that then separates those two realities to the family friendly, and then people who can enjoy themselves with alcohol and whatever substances they choose to, you know, engage in, without having the presence of younger, minds that are, you know, absorbent of these things. You know, we need to start caring about that a lot more than we do. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Am I supposed to give my name?
Yes.
Thank you.
Name and address.
I'm Linda Heath, and I live at 720 Happy Hollow here in Hot Springs, and I just have a question. I guess I must have been out of town most of the times in the past that this event has happened, for the street dance in particular, and so I haven't been in attendance. My question is, how is this planned? Is the Kiwanis Club going to have kind of like a beer garden area that's roped off where people buy and consume the alcohol and throw their trash away and then leave and go to the street dance? Or is this something that they just take with them and mill around? I think that might make a difference to your consideration.
The times I've been there,
Pardon?
the times I've been there, they just buy the alcohol and then go out into the park and stuff and
They mill
visit
around.
and dance.
The reason I ask is that I've been to events, similar events in other locations that were set up that way, and it had to do with their liability so that no one underage could buy or consume the alcohol. And it doesn't mean that it can't possibly happen, that's for sure. But it is kind of a way to contain it. It's just food for thought.
Yeah, what you can't see that we have in front of us is the application states that the servers will check IDs.
But
I'd like
do
to
they
clarify it's the Rotary Club also,
Yes.
not the Kiwanis Club. Sorry. That's okay.
But they could have a contained area is all that I'm asking. Has anybody thought about that?
Yeah,
That's my question.
Again, they're
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
organizers. Thank you, Linda.
Garland, would you mind clarifying for the council and the public what 2 things they have to consider when it comes to these types of applications, which is the character of the applicant and the location? So can't pick and choose a family-friendly event over a non-family friendly event. That's not something you're allowed to do here. And it's not our event, it's just occurring in our park. So maybe if you could clarify that.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. As far as, you have the two check marks as far as approving.
The state Misty stated it correctly that you have the two basic questions when considering this application as far as the character of the person and the location. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Misty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Garth.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think something else that could help out is not to put it back on the general public, but the general public also, I feel, has a responsibility to approach these individuals, ask them, show them, voice them your concerns, and see what they say at that point, because ultimately it is the public's event.
The organizer, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, Brett Noctegal, I just wanted some clarification. Other than Brookside Park, it's legal for me to go to Centennial Park right now and have a beer, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So if the Rotary's not there selling beer, there's nothing to stop somebody to come to the street dance with a cooler full of beer and drink anyway, right?
Correct.
True.
Okay.
Is there not an ordinance about public consumption?
I think there's a state statute, Garland.
Not in the park, I don't think.
Unless it's permitted, which we're permitting.
I know we specifically have a alcohol restriction in Brookside Park.
Specifically, there is a state statute about consumption of alcohol in a public place. As far as the specific rules for the park, I don't know what they are.
Our ordinances allow the consumption of beer or wine in all parks except Brookside. You're not allowed to consume hard liquor in any of the parks.
Is there not a sign out of Chicago also, Bill?
I can't keep track of all this.
Not to my knowledge.
I don't know.
Okay.
Again, thank you, Garland.
Thank you, Garland.
That's why I'm here.
Garland wants to sit over here and get you on the side. You wouldn't have to walk so far.
Have a seat right there, sir.
I was just kidding, really.
All right. No other questions? All right, let's close the public hearing at 7:28, Misty. Need a motion to approve, table, or deny?
I make a motion to approve special sale alcohol beverage license applications from the Hot Springs Rotary Club for the 4th of July street dance at Centennial Park to begin at 8 p.m. on 7/2/22, and for the community picnic event to be held at the Mueller Civic Center, 801 South 6th Street on 7/4/22, beginning at 11 a.m.
Second.
All right, any other questions, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to our 7:20 public hearing. A hearing for Community Development Block Grant, Public Progress, and Proposed Amendment to the Existing Grant Award. To receive public comments on the progress of the Highway 385-18 Sewer and Water Main Replacement Project, as well as the proposed application for the Community Development Block Grant revisions, time extension, and additional grant funding. And the folks of the Black Hills Council of Local Governments gave us a little checklist here to make sure we get this done right. So we've opened the public hearing. The first thing we need to do is have city staff provide a brief overview and update on the status of the Highway 385-18 Sewer and Water Project. So we have Tracy, our city engineer, here to update the public and the council on that project.
Okay, well, good evening. Of course, as everybody can tell, the project has been underway now for approximately 3 months. There has definitely been plenty of weather delays, quite a bit of weather delays, actually. Part of the reason for our opportunity to amend this grant, probably one of the biggest things about it, is simply the inflation factor that has come into play since this grant was originally given. And it is very beneficial that the organization or the governmental entities that give these grants have recognized that a grant that was meant to cover, perhaps 50% or 30% of a project based on 2019 prices, it's just not the same now. Also with this project, it was discovered in January when we had the water main break up just north of the courthouse. That's actually a PVC line that was put in 1980 at the same time that the ductile iron main was put in that is further south on River Street. And we found out that the 1980 installation at that point in time, PVC pipe, was generally not considered to be to require specific bedding. In other words, softer soil or soft granular material. And part of what caused that water main breakdown there was a very large rock, probably about, a rock that would have weighed about 300 pounds. We also exposed another part of that main shortly after that and found the same type of backfill. Given that a brand new highway, of course worth millions of dollars, is being installed in our community, we felt that it would be rather chancy, I guess that's an odd term, but probably rather risky to leave that particular stretch of main in the ground, that's 42 years old, that has already exhibited these problems. So that is a fairly significant addition to the project. That change order has not come through yet. We're still waiting for a price on that. But that is an expansion of the project that we really had no choice to take the most responsible route. So between that adds some time to the project. So part of the amendment simply gives more time for us to draw upon that grant. And of course, a lot of this is not in the city's control. I mean, it's the contractor, what challenges they come into. As we all know, there are supply chain issues that have really made a lot of projects more time consuming. And of course, even their ability to get labor, transportation, and everything like that. So that's a factor that could add time to the project. They're trying to do everything possible to still have it done by December 15th of 2023. But it does, there is a possibility of that. So it just gives us some breathing room to have, I think, what is that date on that? It extends it to, is it 2024?
January of 24, I think.
Okay, and that actually fits very closely with that December 15th, 2023 finish date that is still in place. So those are really the main reasons. And of course, this would be additional funds that don't have to come out of our own capital reserve accounts. So I guess at this point, if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer.
Council, do you have any questions?
Well, the numbers you just spouted off, and like the one for the water main you were just talking about, that's going to be upwards of like 400,000-ish.
That's the estimate based on some of the current pricing, the bid pricing, and even that could be, they made that bid last year.
Right.
It's kind of spooky.
So the increase to the grant that we're requesting right now isn't anywhere covering that?
No.
So are we going to go back at a later date and request more?
Nope, it's the maximum.
It's the maximum.
It's the
that we've-
maximum. That's
we've
what
allowed.
Misty has informed
Okay.
us.
All right.
Anyone else on the council? All right, so at this point, we need to formally ask for comments, questions, concerns from the public regarding what Tracy has just explained to everyone. All right. So the second part of the hearing, again, we need to explain that due to project cost overruns, the city is seeking an additional $204,025 in community development block grant funds that, if granted, will increase the existing grant award from $565,975 to the maximum allowed of $770,000. We also need to tell you that the amendment seeks to extend the grant termination date from July 8th, 2022 to January 8th, 2024 to allow for project completion. Having said that, does the public have any comments, questions, concerns regarding the grant? So, council, the request for amendment, Tracy was talking about the original amount. We originally were approved for a project budget total of $1,111,950.20. But as Tracy explained, the current amount is now up to $1,775,454.91. The city is unable to cover this project shortfall and is therefore requesting an additional $204,025, which when added to the original $565,975 will represent the maximum award possible for $770,000. So, one more time, any questions from the council or the public? Misty, did I cover everything?
You did a great job. You had another change order on this agenda, though, and he just warned you about another one, so that's not a total number.
Yeah, and we do have an agenda item that we'll discuss that, so. JR? All right.
So is it
if
time
there's-
for a motion?
Yeah, if there's no further questions from the public or the council, Tracy, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Need a motion to approve and authorize?
We close the hearing.
Close the hearing, thank you, Bill, it's 7:38.
I make a motion to approve, I make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the request for amendment. The form is attached.
I second.
Discussion.
Not sure if you have to mention that it will be open. You can't sign the form till after 15-day local comment period. So if anyone is reviewing this meeting afterwards, you have 15 days to make a public comment regarding the project.
All right. Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Deborah Johnston,
Yes.
J.R. Huddleston,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Craig Romy,
Yes.
Linda Varvel,
Yes.
Melanie Wilson,
Yes.
Larry Pratt.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Motion passes. We'll open our 7:30 public hearing at 7:39 to act on the applications for retail on-off sale wine and cider and retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license from Stanwell LLC, doing business as Riverfront Gallery, to be used at 405 North River Street. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak to that? Council, do you have any questions? Well, let's close the public hearing at 7:40. And then I need a motion to approve, table, or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve the applications for retail on-off sale wine and cider and retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine license from Stanwell LLC doing business as Riverfront Gallery to be used at 405 North River Street.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Back to new business. New business item B. A discussion only. Additional Highway 385 reconstruction related expenses. Wanted to talk with you a little bit about the Highway 385 reconstruction. We've seen that as this project is progressing, there are unexpected things that are popping up that are going to cost the city money. The next new business item that we're talking about is an example of that. There's a attachment that I gave you from Complete Concrete that talks about traffic control signs, traffic control miscellaneous, type 3 barricades, 4 inches of temporary pavement marking tape. This was all necessary related to the Jennings Bridge. The work that was right in front of Jennings Bridge was necessary to tie in the city's water line and replace, put new line in there. That work wasn't necessary for the road project itself. So the state wouldn't have needed to do that. We needed to do that to tie the water in. So those costs aren't covered under the state's costs. Those are things that we're going to continue to incur. The sewer main down by Taco John's very early on in the project was determined that it was an old water line or old sewer line that needed to be replaced. And they're decisions that need to be made pretty much on the spot. They can't wait till council gets together or, without delaying the project. So wanted to talk with you a little bit about, as a council, how you want to handle these types of expenditures. Craig has mentioned in Public Works that one opportunity when these crop up would be for me to call each of the council members individually and get a verbal assurance that it's okay to spend that amount of money for that necessary project, part of the project, whatever it may be. Some of us are also attending the South Dakota Municipal League training tomorrow with Rod Fortin, who's with the Department of Legislative Audit. And both Craig and Misty have suggested putting the question to him and see what, as a council, you need to do to give me some kind of authority to make these decisions on the spot, that we can go ahead and incur some of these costs so that we don't delay the projects. I just want to give you a heads up that we are seeing these costs. I expect to see more of them as we go along with the project, and we need to know how we're going to handle these. So, Council, what are your thoughts?
I think it's difficult myself, since we do have quite a project and we know there are some things we're going to run up against that it's going to cost us along the route. We learned about the $400,000 after that water break. Most everybody's going to be gone tomorrow for that training session. What happens? Something happens tomorrow. You guys are all going to be gone. I won't be, but you guys will all be gone to that training session. And we've got to have something in place that allow us to continue. Otherwise, if we wait for the council action, it will be another 2 weeks or so before we meet again, and that's going to delay a project at least 2 weeks longer. We know what the actual price or supposed price would be to complete the project. We don't know the unforeseens, and we have to be prepared for that. I, for one, believe we should, knowing that we know what the price of the project is, knowing that there are going to be some unforeseens that happen, that we need to allow the mayor and the finance officer and city manager to be able to make those decisions to get this done so that this is not held up any longer than it has been. Rain has hit us hard enough as it is now, delaying some of the project that we'd have been further along. We don't need it to wait another 2 weeks for something to happen, or even longer. We need to get this done. That's my view.
I agree.
But unless the state tells us we can do it, it's against the law.
Yeah, the reason we're having the discussion is, as mayor, I can't spend a penny.
No.
Only council can do that. And I would change your recommendation a little bit, JR. I don't think that we should put that responsibility on the city administrator or the finance officer to make those decisions.
I just put the top 3 in there, that's what
You
I
should
did.
talk to us, though, I'd hope.
Yeah.
We'd like to tell you how much money we have.
Absolutely, but that decision should lie with the elected officials. And I can assure you that if you authorize me to spend $5 as an example, I certainly am not going to obligate the city to a $400,000 water project. But that's the discussion we need to have, and I think Craig's suggestion of calling and getting your verbal assurances is a good start. And maybe Rod Fortin can give us a better idea, possibly passing a resolution authorizing an expenditure up to a certain amount, and would certainly still follow that up with a phone call.
I think the phone calls, I would agree with that, because in the past you've done that, and it seemed to solve a lot of the problems that we've had. So I would support that suggestion.
Bless you.
So I wanted to get it out here for public discussion, so the public's aware of what we're dealing with and what we're trying to resolve here. We've got to come up with a solution that doesn't delay the road project. And if we end up delaying a portion of the project by 2 weeks because council needs to vote on it, it's probably going to cost us a heck of a lot more in delayed costs from the contractor than the actual repair that's needed at the time.
Well, if it comes down to the point that council has to vote on each major change, then council needs to be prepared for a lot of special meetings.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we signed up for. So I appreciate the fact that none of this is going to happen in a vacuum. I appreciate your desire to keep it in the open, keep the lines of communication open, and I think, anybody that's been around Rod very much will get good advice from him, not counsel, sorry, Garland. And so whatever direction he points us, I think will be a good direction to go. But if it comes down to the point that no council needs to vote on it, then I think we need to be prepared for a lot of special meetings.
And within the special meetings, correct me where I'm wrong, but we can't do it any sooner than 24 hours anyway.
Correct. And eventually you vote on all claims. Nothing would be paid and not shared with the public. It'd just be the decisions to keep going. Eventually it will come in front of you.
Will the extra expenditures that are being necessary, is it coming out of cash reserves? Where will the money be coming from for that?
That's what we're here for. That's what we get the big bucks for, is to decide how we're going to pay for that.
Because they're
General
not,
fund at this point for a lot of it, right?
No,
it
it's
come out
not
of
just the
different-
general fund, it'd be the additional
water-
sales tax
the water
fund, the
departments
501 fund has
yeah.
sidewalk money in it. But you're right, that's what you'll have to decide,
Yep.
where those funds will come from.
a lot of the cost will probably be water or sewer related. So I'd be looking at the enterprise funds to fund those types of expenditures.
So is it optional for phone calls to each of us in lieu of, I mean, we can do it, but,
Well,
you know, if we have to.
I think, if you want to do it, I think it's, 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 I think
us gathering at a meeting?
Not for official business.
No.
It's still, if you had a change order, it'd still have to come to you as the council. And any claim that's paid by the city has to be approved by council in a public meeting. I think what Bob is looking for and asking is, yes, it's going to be 10 more thousand, okay, are you guys all okay with that? We're going to say yes today, and then any action we have to take in a public meeting will occur at a future meeting.
Correct.
But he's also saying it's up to a certain amount, correct? Or
we're trying to determine what might be acceptable,
okay.
and that's one of the
I just wanna make
options
sure,
that are being
okay.
considered.
Okay.
So I think back to Craig's question related to the police chief's position in an emergency. South Dakota codified law already allows emergency expenditures without prior council approval, to meet the emergency needs of a city in a catastrophe. And that's why the finance officer is part of that discussion, why the city administrator, why the council president and vice president are parts of those, and the mayor are parts of those discussions to say, okay, how do we get us through this emergency? So Rod, hopefully will be able to advise us tomorrow on the best way to proceed with this. I wanted to get it in front of you and in front of the public that we're already running into these issues that we need to figure out what the right solution for them is. All right, any other questions? All right, so we'll move on to new business item C. Possible motion discussion to approve a change order number 3.
Did we do number A?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 3 with complete construction, project number 2021-001, PCN X05P water main and sanitary sewer improvements. Change order increases the contract price by $10,944.72 to a new contract price of $1,786,399.63.
Second.
Discussion. So when you look at the breakdown of those costs, again, there are some materials costs, sewer pipe, bedding material, manhole, no, manhole's not in there, trench 10 to 12 feet deep. Those kinds of costs, Bob, would come out of the sewer, 604 Enterprise Fund. But these are the types of expenses that we're going to be incurring as they begin digging in the roads. They don't know what they're going to run into for sure until they actually start digging, and what is it going to take to keep the project moving forward. So that's materials cost, and then already talked about the traffic control that was necessary adjacent to Jennings Bridge. Those are the kinds of costs that you can certainly expect to see more of as the road project progresses through town. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item D, a possible motion discussion to approve a change to the Highway 385 reconstruction schedule.
I'll make the motion to discuss to approve a change to the Highway 385 reconstruction schedule to allow prime contractor Complete Concrete to perform utility work starting at the police department and continuing north along Highway 385 to Battle Mountain Avenue. The work would begin in approximately December of 2022 and continue through approximately March of 2023. This work was originally scheduled to begin in the spring of 2023.
Second.
Discussion. So this is right in line with new business item B and C. The original construction project or construction schedule that Complete Concrete gave us was to start adjacent to Taco John's and continue north through town to the police department in 2022, this year. Second phase of the project would start from the police department and go north on 385 to just short of Dollar General. That would have been 2023 work. What changed significantly after the project was awarded was what Tracy was talking about and what council has discussed. The additional need for, is it about 1,000 feet of water main? 1,900 feet of water main from Minnetonka to Dales. That work was not part of the original bid. So the contractor is saying that is going to take a significant amount of time for them to get that taken care of. The work, the sewer replacement down by Taco John's, that added to their construction time. They weren't aware that that needed to be taken care of. They were in full agreement that old sewer line should be replaced rather than put a brand new highway on top of it. But it did increase the amount of time. So they began having the discussions that with the additional delays, they've also had a weather delay, a number of weather delays. With the additional work, mostly the 1,900 feet of new water line, they were actually looking at a possible third year of construction to get this project done. We shared with them that don't feel that the council or the community is up for a 3-year project versus a 2-year project. So they looked at some options of what they could do. And their first best suggestion is to continue doing the sewer and water work, the city's work, in late fall of 2023, yet this year. And they feel that by doing that, that they can stay on a 2-year schedule rather than a 3-year schedule. So I said to them that I would address council, see if council is open to doing that. If you are, then we ask them to talk to the business owners on North River Street and see how they feel about having construction in front of the businesses yet this year when they were only expected to get them in 2023.
I think they'd prefer it in the winter rather than summer, so that's a big plus.
I'm not a business owner. I'm not going to speak for them.
Yeah.
It would be just the sewer and water. That would continue from the police department, again, down 385, up Battle Mount to just a little short of Dollar General. But the contractor feels that if the council and the citizens are open to doing that, they can still keep this on a 2-year construction schedule rather than adding a 3rd year.
Is that going to result in having the roadway go down to a single lane?
Can you come down here, Bob, please?
My question would be, if the council agreed to that and they proceeded as that planned, would that result in having just a single lane of traffic going from the police department to up to Dollar General? Is part of that street going to be torn up? I mean, it'd have to be in order to replace water and sewer, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We have limited space on that section of the road. The state or the contractors assured us that we'll always have two-way traffic. It may not be 2 lanes, but it will be two-way traffic through town.
So worst case scenario would be flagmen at each end of it and limited access that way?
The different sections that they're working on, yes.
It wouldn't be closed. It would not be closed top to bottom, north to south the entire time. It would be done in sections, much like the bridge was done last week.
I know at a couple different of the narrowed areas, they were discussing having those traffic lights at both sides to manage the flow, temporary stoplights to make it 1 lane, kind of like they do on the highways sometimes.
Okay, I'm giving you the deer in the headlight
Yeah.
because I guess I'm still a little in the dark on this. Jeff, what you're saying is that
they would be doing this in sections, say, for example, like a 3-block section at a time. They'd get that done, get it fixed back up to where
Exactly, they will
more
close
traffic,
down,
and then it would just move up a little bit more to where they might be doing several blocks worth of this at a time.
Exactly, Bob.
Okay, all right, very
It
good.
will have to be done eventually regardless, so it's a question now of expediting and doing it ahead of schedule is really what it is. But ultimately, it was scheduled to be done next year the same way, so.
Yeah, I understand, and I understand the impetus behind this as far as maintaining a 2-year project as opposed to a 3-year project. And I would imagine that any of the business owners there would rather see it done in 2 rather than stretched out for 3.
I think so, yes.
So, okay, that was my question. I was just kind of wondering about the mechanics of it. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks,
Thank you.
I agree with Deborah that it would seem that doing that work in the winter would be less impactful to the businesses that count on a lot of the tourism, to get them through the year. And then looking from the Flatiron north, there's just not a lot of business that's impacted there. Of course, there'd be the courthouse when we get there. But it would be the same traffic control, as Jeff said, would be in phases as they work from the police department north to Dollar General.
Tracy, I didn't think the water line went all the way to Dollar General.
The water line goes to Somerville, so that's almost there.
Okay.
There's a portion.
And that's the end of the road project in Somerville.
Yeah, it's almost to the end of the road project. A little bit of it, where the concrete currently ends, coming from the north, that's the actual official end of the road project. So it's, maybe it's another 200 feet past Somerville, but that's about it. Yeah, so the Battle Mountain water line gets replaced. Of course, that was always in the project. The only thing that's added is that stretch from Minnetonka up to the intersection there at Battle Mountain at where Dale's restaurant used to be. And as far as sequencing, DOT is very sensitive about traffic flow. And generally, my impression has been that they would not want, especially if there was single lane, they really want to keep that to a bare minimum. On North River Street, probably what I've been told is the parking, like on the west side of the road, where they had to divert, there would be an area where that's where the traffic would be routed. The water line and the sewer line are both going to be in the northbound lane of 385 going through there. The water main will be 8 foot from the center line, and then the sewer line will be an 8 foot further to the right of that. The only place that it's going to get pretty tricky is up in the area around the intersection with Minnetonka and National, because there the sewer line has to branch over to hook up to Minnetonka, and the same way with the water. So that intersection gets a little bit crazy, but it's also larger. There's more space there. So as far as single lane, they want to really keep that to a bare minimum.
Thank you.
The actual construction impact to all the businesses along 385 is going to be exactly the same. It'll just be starting in December of this year rather than March, April, the construction season of 2023. Any other questions? Any more questions from the public? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. So I'll reach out to the state and let them know that the council is on board with moving the construction schedule for the north end of the project up, and then ask them to schedule meetings with all of the affected business owners and see how the business owners feel about it. New business item E, a possible motion discussion to approve the Fall River Flood Channel Maintenance Plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the Fall River Flood Channel Maintenance Plan 2021 and beyond.
Second.
Discussion. So Bill and I worked on a Fall River flood channel maintenance plan going forward to address what we feel we need to do next when it comes to Fall River in general. And the documents that are from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that talks about the Hot Springs Fall River Channel left bank from the 2015 periodic inspection. That several pages from that document identify that we need to have a maintenance and operations manual for the channel, and that that manual should be updated as necessary to reflect current features, components, and activities associated with the Hot Springs Fall River Channel. So that's the need behind this. It identifies what has been done in 2021, and then I want to focus on 2022 and 2023. In 2022, talks about cattails removed from the pedestrian bridge. 2023, because we've already done 2022. 2023, cattail removal and river reclamation from Jennings Bridge south to the University Avenue Bridge. And there's a picture in there showing that general area that we want to work in. When we first talked about the work that we had been doing in the channel, Deborah had mentioned that she felt that moving from Jennings down to University was another area that we ought to look at to get taken care of. So went ahead and identified that area. And then in 2024, continue cattail removal for the section of the river north of the South 6th Street Bridge. And there's attachment there. Last year, the city took out a section of cattails down just north of the Dip Bridge, and it made a world of difference down there. As I was walking down the river walk the other day, I was amazed to see how much the cattails have consumed that river in that section. Last year, the Chamber of Commerce actually moved the finish line for the duck races north to get out of those cattails. I talked with Olivia, and not those particular cattails, but the cattails from Jennings Bridge south. Last year, the Chamber of Commerce lost about 350 ducks in that section of river. So that's huge. The duck race has become something that the community looks forward to. It's a big event for the Chamber of Commerce. So we need to do a better job of managing our cattails and our river in general. So I see this and new business item F as a two-part plan. This particular one identifies what we need to get done. The next plan that will be in front of you for discussion, I think, identifies how we would do that. But I'm asking you to approve this one. The Corps will be coming through in August and doing a inspection. And I think it's important that we prepare a document that shows them what we have done and what our future plans are, so they understand that we're taking our responsibilities for the river seriously. So that's the reason this is in front of you tonight. Any questions?
You put together a good plan, you and Bill. I like it. It's short and sweet. It's not so wordy that I gave up on it. But I think it's a good plan.
Any other questions?
Is that available to the public at the City Hall?
It's in the public information book up there too, but yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. And then on to new business item F, the second half of this discussion, a possible motion, discussion to approve the Fall River cleanup proposals.
I make a motion to approve the Fall River cleanup proposal consistent with the objectives outlined in the Fall River Channel Maintenance Plan 2021 and beyond.
Second.
Discussion. Eric, are you here to speak to that? Do you want to talk to the council first? Sure. You and whoever else?
Eric Boyd. I live at 346 Jennings here in town, and I'm here representing a group that are invested in the same thing you're talking about, which is stewarding the cleanup of certain sections of Fall River. Has council had a chance to look over that document we sent forward, and we discussed it? Public Works, I guess if you have, we can answer any questions you may have. So.
Okay. I do have some questions, but council, do you have any questions for Eric?
One question, Eric, or maybe more. I think you mentioned in your plan the intent is to not remove the cattails in the section between Jennings and University.
More specifically, we'll address the Phragmites issue, which is a non-native invasive species of grass, and that is mixed with a stand of cattails that are right in front of the American Legion building. And I think the technique that we're trying to use can be used moving forward to control cattails if they need to be controlled as well. I think with the goal of not using heavy machinery, but hand picking and clearing those sections.
I guess one of the concerns I have is you guys have a lot of manual labor ahead of you.
Yeah. We're aware of that.
If your efforts don't meet the goal of the plan that we just passed, which is essentially what the Corps of Engineers wants us to do to maintain the flood channel, and either by our determination or by their inspection results say we need to go back in there with mechanical means and do work similar to what we've done upstream, how bad is that going to hurt? Because
we're aware of that. It won't hurt that much. We're willing to do the work and make sure that we want to try to work a process that will satisfy everyone's needs.
Because I appreciate what you want to do, but what I don't want is for us to say, yeah, come on, and then if we do have to go in and do what we did upstream, feel like, I don't want you guys feeling like we just stepped on you and disregarded your efforts.
Understood. Yeah, that's understood, and I appreciate you posing that question. I think transparency on both sides. I think understanding what your plan is moving forward as a council and as the city, so we can meet those same goals and needs that you're trying to meet, is important. So this plan that you just, we're speaking about in item E, I think it's important that, we can look at that and also, modify any approach we need to try to satisfy those needs. So feelings won't be hurt too much. But we're going to try our best to try to satisfy what we need to with this technique. So.
Okay, because just, and I know you understand this, but we have a responsibility to maintain the flood channel for the Army Corps of Engineers. That's our base responsibility, and again, and I know I'm repeating myself, and I hate it when I do that. I appreciate what you're doing, and I have concerns that you're going to work yourselves hard and it may not accomplish what needs to be accomplished. But if you're aware of that, the risk is on you guys because that section is in our 2023 plan. So your work doesn't delay our schedule. It's your sweat equity that's being invested.
Our hopes are that your plan can somehow include what we're doing if it shows to be successful. And it's to be understood from all the research that we've done and the discussions that we've had about this process. It's an ongoing process. Your approach using heavy machinery is once and done for a season or two, and then it's still going to grow back. Our approach is maintain it in a healthy fashion where it can be continually maintained without too much destruction to the ecosystem and the natural habitat that's been developing there. So it's just a difference in approach, and I think that if we're allowed time to work this approach, then the city can learn what they can from it and perhaps take some of those items and make it a part of your grander scheme. So,
thank you.
If you remember in Public Works, when you asked this, I says, I have no problems with it as long as you do what the city wants. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we want the cattails gone, you'll take them out?
well, this first section is something that the technique we're using, the spading technique to address the Phragmites, that's actually a trickier proposition than even clearing the cattails. And the Phragmites is very hard to control, and it will take over a stand. If you look at that section that we're addressing, the Phragmites will completely take over that section in another couple seasons. You know, it's even overtaking the cattails that are growing there. So our hopes is that we can take this technique and apply it across the board and hopefully find some sort of solution that is better for everybody. So I'm certainly aware of the city and their needs as far as addressing what the Army Corps' needs are. So, yeah. Come on up if you'd like.
So, hi again. In terms of moving forward in the world that we're living in today, I think it's very important, this is just my personal opinion, to apply, for example, permaculture principles to modern systems that are already in place. Because what that does is that allows for growth. It allows for people to work together and to create a solution that actually works rather than meeting a requirement from someone that is demanding a certain thing, but doesn't really know the ecosystem and isn't understanding what really needs to be done to grow and change and move forward. There's systems in place, we know this. But what's important is, what does the earth want, and what is a common solution for everybody involved, including the earth, not just the people. So there's certain requirements for maintaining things in a city, in a county, in a state, in a governmental way. But if it was working, then we wouldn't have these problems. So what I'm saying is, why don't we try something different? Why don't we work together to try something different? Because there's a lot of ideas out there that are really, really beneficial, that work. And there are permaculture graduates, and there are people that have studied this and are experts in their field, and they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. So let's listen to them and see if we can come to a common solution. You know, it shouldn't be as long as this happens, this happens. No, let's work together for the common solution of the common goal that needs to be met. That's my personal opinion, and I think it's really important as a progressive place that this is. It is a progressive city, not in terms of politics, but in terms of the people and the earth and what's happening here. It is really important to pay attention to that. And the earth really does talk here. And it's important to listen deeply to what's being said. And so this approach keeps that totally present. It keeps the ancient wisdom and the new thought together to create a solution that actually works. So I just wanted to offer that, because it's in our hearts to be here for the common solution, not for, you know, all the little idiosyncrasies of the situation. It's important for a common goal to be met here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Ingrid Sutton, and I live up on Cascade Springs Road. So, kind of new to this scenario, and I just want to confirm something. A moment ago, you guys approved item E, which is the Fall River Flood Channel Maintenance Plan, but you didn't ask the public for opinion on that. We don't get opinion on that?
The flood channel maintenance plan was essentially a regurgitation of the Army Corps of Engineers operations and maintenance plan. There was nothing new in there.
Okay.
So that's why there was no public comment. This is what we were given by the Corps of Engineers. It says this is your responsibility to do in this designated area.
Okay, so
we weren't asked our opinion either.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't hear, like, can we have comments from the public? So it just kind of passed.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
And what we tried to do with this document is the operations and maintenance document is a 80-page document, or
It's about a 61-page document.
61-page document. And we pulled out the pertinent parts because we were getting a lot of questions. And believe it or not, City Hall is not overly staffed with people just waiting to answer the same questions over and over again. So we tried to put together a concise document from existing documentation that says, here's the extent of the flood channel, here's our responsibilities, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do. So you're right, we didn't ask for opinion because all we did is kind of gave you the cliff notes of the rule book.
Gotcha.
But good question, thanks.
Okay, no worries.
And what's before us right now, the information we're going to be deciding on is actually the proposal that you all wrote up and gave to us. So that's what we're discussing in the cleanup proposal that you gave to us.
Right. And I love that we're working together and we're trying to make this work. But what I really am hearing is that we're going to be in that river and we're going to really help the river because we're going to pull out some pretty bad, nasty things, and hopefully they will not come back as aggressive. So we're actually helping the city, but then the city will come back possibly with the bulldozers and just bulldoze the place because you're marching to a beat of this proposal and how you've interpreted the proposal, because
It's not a matter of interpretation. It's very clearly stated that we have a responsibility to maintain the Fall River flood channel.
Okay, and does that mean full removal of the cattails?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And does it state full removal of cattails?
Pretty much so.
Yes.
Does it actually state full removal of the cattails? It does?
It does not say full removal of the cattails. It says management of the vegetation. And this is a conversation that we can have after that I want to have with your group if council approves this. I have said to Eric, I've said to Rajni, my intent is not to sterilize the river.
No. Right.
My intent is to get the river back. And it's obvious that we've got some cattails coming back from the areas that we've already done. That is going to happen. But I strongly believe this decision cannot be guided by the number of cattails that are in there, how many we have, that we like this stand of them, so we need to keep them. Whether a cattail is technically an invasive species or not, all you have to do is watch them, and they will consume a river if they are not managed. So it's tomato there, but they need to be managed, and that's what we need to figure out how we're going to do.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I get that. I just needed a few clarifications, and it really does sound like our proposal might need to include some more removal of the cattails to get to the point where you guys are happy with that proposal.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, one thing you have to remember too, it's not only us, it's the Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
That has placed this on the city, and no action has been taken in that river to maintain it as a flood channel for how many years?
There's been actions that's been taken, I believe, I don't know if it was Eric or someone else that had said previous council members remember that there were bulldozers down in that river at one time cleaning them out. So there have been actions that have been taken. But certainly I'm comfortable saying for the last 15, 20 years.
For the most part, it's been, in the most recent history, has been the burning technique, which has not worked.
And all we're trying to do is abide by what has been placed on us. And this council is, and I have to applaud them, and I'm proud to work with every one of them, is we're trying to do the things that have not been done in a long time. And we're trying to make sure that we're running as smooth as we can. Many things have been put on the back burner. We're not that kind of council. We're out here trying to get her done, let's go.
Yep.
And make sure it's right for everybody, as much as we can.
I would like to do it in as less invasive as absolutely possible. I agree with what you're trying to do. It's a huge job that you're taking on, and I commend you for your positive attitude there, and we can only see how well you stand up to what you're facing.
And I can appreciate that you guys want to work with us, and I just hope we don't wind up with, the result of, well, you didn't remove enough cattails.
Well, that's not our intention up front.
Good. It's just what I was hearing, and I just wanted to clarify that. I'm glad.
It's not my intention up front. I want to give you guys all the chances that you
And we're not up here to
capable
rule
of.
with an iron hand either. I mean, we work with the public, and very good counsel. We'll continue to do that.
Good deal. That sounds wonderful.
And I'm not, above extending a little bit of the timeline. And like I said, you guys have a huge job ahead of you with just that one block.
Right.
I mean, there's a huge amount of cattails in that section as well.
Yep.
So, I'm not above being willing to extend the timeline, but that's for the future discussion.
Okay.
What I'd like to see too come out of this is quit attacking us. We're sitting here, we've got your proposal right in front of it. I've got nothing against it.
Wonderful.
Okay? But I also have to understand too that the Army Corps of Engineers, that we keep going back to, that has a standard also. Okay, so what we're trying to do is find a balance in that. I can't speak to the rest of the council, but I believe that we're trying to find a balance in this.
Good.
Up until this point, I just feel like that we need to quit attacking us. Because the reality of it is, we're doing what the Corps says. Your argument is with the Corps of Engineers, not the city. You have to realize that. So we're trying to find a balance here, so please work with us, okay?
That's the goal, is definitely, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your help, and I appreciate working together, absolutely. I just wanted to clarify a few things to make sure that we could work together.
And Deborah's timeline's off a little bit. After they burnt the cattails, they did go down there with loaders and stuff and take the cattails out. They just grew back. Gene Weiser was working for the city and they did that.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
So, Eric, I do have some questions for you.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Looking at, you talk about the cattails early on in the document, and you say we can apply similar methods to thin the cattails to open up the access to and view of the river from the Freedom Trail. So in your plan, is it going to be possible for people to get down in and interact with river, or do they just view it at that point? Because one thing that has made my heart happy since we've started the work in the northern section of the river I'm hearing families giggle as they're playing in the river. They're actually able to get down in and interact with it, and that's happening more and more. So is your plan, appreciate the river from a distance, but stay out of it? But help me understand that.
From the vantage point of it, say you're on the Freedom Trail right next to the American Legion building, the view of the river itself is obstructed. I mean, you can't see it because of the Phragmites stand that's currently there. Any sort of efforts by the city to, extend that lower walkway adjacent to the Jennings Bridge into that section is something that, of course, can be better imagined if that stand wasn't there. So what we're proposing is to manage the grasses that are there, remove them over time, so then those possibilities can come to life in the future via planning on your end of things. I think a lot of communities, there are many communities that have handled the same issue, some in different ways, and this is not a new issue for a lot of communities that have waterways like this. And I think a lot of communities have taken an even approach when it comes to managing this and then opening this up for future possibilities of recreational use and other options. So we're looking at really making sure that this technique works and will help manage this issue without using heavy machinery.
Okay.
The third paragraph down states that we can apply similar methods to thin the cattails to open up the access to and view of the river from the Freedom Trail. So it does have in there to open the access to it.
I mean, we want to see how hard this work is actually going to be. We're doing this because we want to get down there, get our hands in, and see what kind of effort this is going to take. We may have to adjust phases, adjust approaches as we go along, but we'll be able to document this and say, okay, this is what we've done, this is how much time and effort it's taken, and then if we need to plan more efforts, then we can do that, or get more people to have hands in on the project so it's less work, fine. That's the overall goal. Also to advocate for this process and educate the public on what we're doing and what's actually down there too. So.
And Mayor, if I could point out real quick an answer to this, we have also approached South Dakota State University, and they've offered to help us in the winter months on an environmental project to look at how that can, give us some recommendations on what to be done. So kind of an environmental impact study without paying for it, I guess is the best way to say that. So we've asked that. They're offering to come down in the winter months to take a look at it. So.
Yeah. In this discussion, we need to be aware of the fact when you talk about an environmental impact study, that suggests something other than a flood channel. You don't do an environmental impact study on a flood channel. Can't get away from the fact, folks, that this is a flood channel. It is not a wetland. It is not anything other than a flood channel that has been allowed to be overgrown with vegetation, and that's what the Corps is holding us to. That's the standard they want us to address. So when we start getting off of that and environmental impact studies, if you want to drag something to a halt, do an environmental impact study, and the Corps isn't going to require us to do an environmental impact study on a flood channel. So having somebody come in and help us figure out how we're going to manage the removal of the vegetation in a flood channel, we're certainly open to that, but we don't need to be looking for putting roadblocks in something that we can't control. The Corps is going to tell us how we're going to manage this channel.
I understand what you're saying, and I understand how important it is to adhere to these set of rules and objectives from the Army Corps. I also think it's important to understand that when we discuss these matters and we talk about a flood channel and a clearing of a flood channel to achieve certain goals, but also talk about observing families enjoying Fall River and finding great joy in seeing tourists and families enjoy Fall River. we have to understand that it's not one or the other, but it's both. And we can't pick or choose which one it is to justify our actions. What we're discussing is finding a way to let it be both and let these objectives be met, and also understand what is there. Yes, it's an overgrown flood channel, but it's also been a river for longer than that. And there are many species of turtle and fish and bird and mammals that live in this section especially, that our people here in the community observe and enjoy on a daily basis, that you will be disturbing if you go in with bulldozers. And there's a rare species of soft-shelled turtle that lives there, possibly two others species of turtle that live there. We know this. We're looking for an option that lets everybody enjoy this section and allows it to be both a flood channel that's managed and a river that people can enjoy when they come to town.
And as I'd mentioned, I think these two together meet that need. The first one identifies what has to be done. The second one potentially identifies how we're going to do that.
I agree with that. I look forward to looking at the plan because I haven't seen it.
Yeah. There's public packets.
I'll make sure to
grab one, or you can get it online.
Yeah.
Take a look at it.
So is this, I'm sorry, and you mentioned this is the same plan that you've been running the whole time that's been available and that you've used in reference through these discussions to this point?
This particular one?
The one you mentioned in item E.
Yeah. This was the one that I had made reference to at the Public Works meeting that I said I was going to present it to council in their information packet. And the more I thought about it, I said, no, let's just get it in front of them so that it can be a team here in getting them taken care of.
Okay.
This one is new. The plan that Bill was talking about, the operations and maintenance manual from the Corps, our last one, I believe, is 1980 or 84, and that's the 61-page document that gets into much more detail.
Sure.
This one is very much at the 10,000-foot level, saying here's the area we need to address, and your plan helps us identify how we're going to address it.
Great, thank you. Any other questions I can answer?
If it's approved by council, before you folks actually get down in the river, I'd just like to get together with you and have that conversation. Identify, we'd like to have some cattails removed yet. There's a lot of work that we wouldn't have to do in 2023 if you folks yet get it accomplished this year. And possibly we can begin looking at our 2024 plan or how you folks might address that one. All right. Any other questions?
Can I ask, how much of the vegetation
Can you come up front? Bob, can you come up front, sir, please? Pretty please.
Bob, you just need to sit on the front.
Just
sit right
down
there
here,
next to
Bob.
Verlin. Sit right there in front.
Right next to Garland.
I'm just a little bit fuzzy. I'm quite aware of the amount of vegetation that is in that stretch. What I'm not real clear on is how much of that vegetation are you folks planning on removing? Ballpark figure, percentage-wise. And have any of you ever had any experience working in with the cattails and removing them? Do you know how difficult that's going to be?
The section that we are most focused on is the stand of Phragmites that is actually right in front of the Legion building. So the pampas grass, So that section is what we're focusing on for this first few phases. So removing that and measuring our success there, we'll be able to carry forward and see what else we can do.
There is still a lot of cattail that is comprising that section.
Yes, correct.
And the overwhelming majority of the vegetation in there is cattail as opposed to the pampas grass and palm grass.
Yeah, we're aware of the section, and we've been down in it, and we're looking forward to seeing how much work it takes to get that taken care of. So.
Are you giving yourself any kind of a timeline?
Well, we have 3 phases outlined in this, and I'd be happy to share this with you so you can take a look. 3 phases. We're going to start the first phase in July, a day or two of work. There's a a dozen of us that would like to get in and start this work, and then come back in August, and then come back in September to see how we can maintain it from there. So it's 3 phases and returning to it. And
I applaud your efforts, and I wish you all the best in doing it.
okay.
I know you're going to have a real tough road to hoe.
I would invite anybody in the room and anybody you know to come and help us out. We need volunteers. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, everybody, for addressing this.
Thank the entire
Yes.
group.
I'm always, this is just me, safety. I'm concerned, the safety, you've got it shown in here, but it's my understanding that area down there is deep. It is deep, so can you swim?
Well, fortunately...
no pun intended, but let's be honest, okay? It is deep there, okay?
Fortunately, we'll work from the bank outward. And as we work from the bank outward, we'll be able to assess what exactly we need to do to keep everybody safe working in this environment. So as it stands right now, there's a lot of old dead growth there that we're going to have to pull out. All of us are aware of the environment we're going to be getting into and are comfortable with it. And anybody that's not, of course, can aid the effort in a more safe manner or where they feel safe. So it's not too deep that we won't be able to
it's pretty deep.
Navigate. Well, yeah, it is. I know.
And there are a couple of leatherbacks down there, so you better watch that.
We'll watch your toes. Yeah. Thank you.
He may not like you being down there.
I know. Yeah. Well, we're doing this partly for them, so hopefully we'll be able to work together when we're down there. So.
All right.
Alrighty. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. So congratulations or condolences, whichever one is appropriate.
A lot of good luck.
Yeah.
Be safe.
New business item G, a possible motion discussion to schedule the 2021 full audit readout.
We're still having a business meeting.
Just saying.
We celebrate you. I make a motion to schedule the 2021 full audit readout and discussion on Tuesday, July 5th at 6 p.m. before the regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item H, a possible motion discussion to approve the City of Hot Springs support of the Friends of Umiker Dog Park.
Make a motion to approve the City of Hot Springs support of the Friends of the Umiker Dog Park grant application to the Pet Safe Bark for your park committee mayor letter to support dated 6/22/22.
Second.
Discussion.
I have a problem with this park because Umaker never gave that park to the city. Is the guy that owned the Motel 6 there, or whatever that motel is, and Umaker, they got his name on the park and he never gave it to the city. So to me, it's kind of a slap in the face of the guy that gave it to the city. Umaker gave the other side of the river to the city. So I think it ought to be changed to the guy that actually donated the park to the city. I mean, I'd feel kind of hurt if I donated something like that to the city and they put somebody else's name on the park.
I thought they gave their approval for it.
No, he owned that land.
He owned it?
From the river clear to the end of the street where he built his motel. Umaker owned the other side where the trailer park is, and he donated that next to the river to the city. He's the same guy that had Pizza Hut. I don't know if he still owns Pizza Hut or not.
Bernard?
To rename it be a different.
Yeah, that's not what we're discussing.
I think that's a different issue, though, seriously. If we're going to change the
Might be a
name of the
different
park,
issue.
that's a different issue.
We bought a sign in the last 3 years.
Linda, you have been waiting a long time to answer any questions related to, at this point, we'll leave the Umiker Park off of it. The dog park has been through the Parks Committee. I think it's been discussed at Public Works. So is there anything you'd like to share with us?
I don't know.
Name and address, please.
Sorry. Linda Heath, 720 Happy Hollow here in Hot Springs. Thank you for considering your approval of this request. I have no knowledge of what you are addressing, honestly. I do know that the Parks and Rec Committee last year had approved, along with your approval, I'm sure, to allow us to create a dog park on that land.
I have no problems with the dog park.
Okay.
I mean, I'll vote for it.
I guess I'm not clear on your question. I'd like to try to answer it if I can.
To me, it's just upsetting that the city goes forth with calling this Shoemaker Park and it wasn't. I mean, like I said, it's a slap in the face to the guy that donated that land to the city. I'll vote for the park. I want the dog park. I'm just saying the city needs to change the name of it.
But I don't think that's the issue for tonight. That's not the issue in front of us. The issue is, are we going to vote to approve the grant?
I know what the
application
issue is, Donnie. I'm just saying, it's kind of...
I understand, but...
If I may say, if the council decides for any reason that the name should be changed, we have no problem with that. We haven't ordered the signs yet. So, I know that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
I will tell you that his daughter called us from Alaska last fall and is very excited about having the name on the park. That has nothing to do with what is in front of you right now, or what you may decide to consider in the future about the name of the park. But if there is a decision to make a change in the name, please let us know.
Yeah. So I think to Craig's point, he has more history in city business than anyone else up here. So I understand his concern is how it got named Shoemaker Park. I don't know whether a former council, it accepted that, or whether it just started being called Shoemaker Park. But I think his point is a fair point. But for the purposes of what's in front of us, we need to be approving the grant application for the park. And
Can you tell us what your timeline is to get things up?
Well, we have the fencing. We ordered it last fall. Took forever to get here. I think it was the supply chain in motion again, supply chain issues. So as soon as they're able to vacate the park, which is currently housing construction materials for that part of the project, the road project, we are going to schedule volunteers and some professional supervision to actually install the fencing. That'll be the first order of business, and they are thinking end of July, weather permitting, so we're looking at early August at this point. And we need to get the fence up, if at all possible, before the weather gets cold and the ground starts getting harder.
Right.
So we will be planning from now till then. We've got some other activities to continue to raise funds. We're planning a very large garage sale. You will all want to come, I'm sure. But we are still going to be fundraising for the rest of the benches and the other items that will be needed. But our first order of business is to get the fencing up so that it could actually be used in the interim. Does that answer your question?
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Are there other questions I can try to answer?
do you have a feeling if the council decided in the future that they wanted to rename the dog park to a different name? Do you think these folks would give a hoot?
I think you're asking me, I want to make sure I understand for sure, but I think you're asking me, would his daughter be?
No, the folks that were, you're asking for the
in the
grant.
grant
If it becomes Heath Dog Park down the road, are they going to care that it got renamed?
I don't think that that would be an issue. If the city council makes the decision, it'll be whatever name it is. So, as long as we are able to have that information before we actually order signs, I'm sure it's fine. I mean, there is a sign now, as you all know, that says Umaker.
It's a nice big sign.
Yeah, that's all I've ever known it as.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. No, I don't think, I do understand you now, and I don't think it would matter. We just need to give them that information. So.
Great. Anything else?
No, I just want to voice my opinion about that.
Any other questions, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I will
Motion
get-
passes.
I will get the other guy's name and bring it to you.
Thank you for
Linda.
all your efforts.
Oh, certainly. Thank you for your support.
It'll be a great addition.
Appreciate it.
And it's a good spot for tourists as well as the
I
locals.
think it really will make a difference. I hadn't lived in a place that had dog parks until we had our second home in Orange Beach, Alabama, and it became a community gathering place. I mean, people really enjoyed it. Their dogs enjoyed it. It just had all kinds of benefits. So, thank you. I think once we get things rolling, it'll be great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I do have another question for you. Did your husband get his pickup back?
He did.
Is he happy?
Yes.
I'll bet
it's
he is.
beautiful.
I'll
You
bet.
should come by and see it.
Should. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Tell him I said hi.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New business item I. Possible motion discussion to authorize the finance officer to transfer the 2022 budgeted annual operating transfers.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the finance officer to transfer the 2022 budgeted annual operating transfers from 602 water, $125,000, 604 wastewater, $125,000, and 612 solid waste, $10,000 funds to the 101 general fund, totaling $260,000.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item J. Possible motion discussion to authorize the finance officer and city administrator.
I make a motion to authorize the finance officer and the city administrator to sign the merchant processing agreement with Heartland to establish an online payment option for city fees and services.
Second.
Discussion. Jeff? Misty?
We've been working with Heartland to create an online payment option, and this is the agreement to start their construction of that. Our hope is to have set up on our website an online payment portal for utility billing, recreation, the airport, the Mueller Center, and then general fee payments.
That's awesome.
Saying a lot of work.
Good thing.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. It should.
Welcome to the new world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Welcome
2000.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item K, a possible motion discussion to authorize the finance officer to reissue the balance in the EPM debt service.
And before the motion is made, if you look at the CD comparisons, the highlight is for the 3 months, and the motion is written for the 6 months. The finance office is recommending the 3 months at 1.62% due to the rising rate environment. Not 6 months at 2.18.
So 3 months at 1.62?
Correct.
Make a motion to authorize the finance officer to reissue the balance of the EPMS debt service reserve account to South Dakota Fit for a 3-month term at 1.62%.
Second.
No, they changed it.
3 month at 1.62. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business, item L, possible motion discussion to acknowledge the notification of raffle.
I make a motion to to acknowledge the notification of a raffle from Battle Mountain Humane Society for a Sportsman Pit Boss Grill Raffle fundraiser to be held during the Main Street Arts and Crafts Festival on 6/24 to 6/26 at Centennial Park.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business, item M, possible motion discussion to approve travel training request.
I make a motion to approve the travel training request from Police Captain Shively to attend the AFTT Handgun Instructor Development Course in Pierce, South Dakota, 6/26/22 to 7/1/22.
Second motion.
Discussion?
Yeah, is this thing $3,000 or is that what's left in the budget?
That's what's left.
That's their total travel budget.
Okay, I just thought that's kind of expensive to.
Yeah.
That will give us 2 instructors in the police department.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item N, discussion only, changes to ordinance 1237.
Thank you.
Make a motion to discuss only changes to ordinance 1237, chapter 93.06, fireworks.
Do you have to make a motion for a discussion on the item, Mayor? Or do we just, like the last time, just start discussing it?
Everybody was quiet, so
Thank you, Bill.
I couldn't stand the silence.
Since we added it, though, it's probably best we don't take action.
So, as I had mentioned, I just think it's important that we talk about the significant changes to this since the last 4th of July. And those changes are 93.06A. The approved fireworks for individual use shall be limited to stationary cones and fountains and novelty devices only. No consumer fireworks legally or illegally sold in the state of South Dakota that are thrown, propelled, or otherwise travel may be discharged. Additionally, no consumer fireworks that explode or provide a report, such as but not limited to firecrackers, aerial mortars, bottle rockets, skyrockets, etc., may be discharged. The language that allowed fireworks shall not be permitted when the Black Hills area of fire danger for the Southern Hills is high, very high, or extreme. That one's the same, is my recollection, Bill?
No, it was actually expanded to include high.
Yes.
Yeah. So Fall River County's is high, very high, or extreme, okay. And then the item D, discharge of allowed fireworks is limited to July 4th from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Discharging allowed fireworks outside the allowed times may result in violations and fines. And looking at our fine and bond schedule, a violation for prohibited use of fireworks it's a fine of $500. plus $66 court costs. So violation of it would be $566. Going to try to have as many officers out on the 4th of July as possible. They'll be given one warning, I believe is what we had talked about. And if they have to come back, it's going to get expensive. So I just thought it was important to talk about that publicly and so the public's aware of it prior to the 4th of July. Also put something together to put on the city's website so that there's a notice there for people to read. Council, do you have any comments, questions?
I don't know if anybody else had any phone calls, but I have. Evidently, they didn't know we did this last year.
We've seen a fair amount of Facebook chatter, if you will. When we passed the ordinance, there was a lot of discussion, and as typically when we change the fireworks ordinance, there are differing opinions on both sides. Just as a reminder to the council and the public, we opened up, all of our committee meetings are open to the public, but we tried to do a good job of communicating to the public when we discussed this at public safety, and we had a very good turnout from the public. We had over 9 members of the public at the public safety meeting, as well as representatives from emergency response organizations. We had a lot of input from the public at post-July 4th council meetings. And so there was an obvious need that we needed to do something different than what we did last year. We took those comments and concerns into consideration. The city will still have the public display. Those are display fireworks. That is a very different class of fireworks. So we encourage the public to come out and enjoy the city display. It'll be around the city maintenance shop. But we tried to take into account the potential fire danger, as well as the health concerns of many of our residents. We are not trying to impede anyone's celebration of our independence. There are many ways that we can celebrate our independence. It's not just with fireworks. If that's the only way you have, I would suggest you expand your repertoire of celebration, because one person's celebration is another person's potential trauma. So we came to what was, we think, a better solution. We're not going to measure the heights of your cones and fountains as with a previous version. A couple of versions of that ordinance ago, it was 7 feet. And I don't know that anybody went out and measured that, so we removed that limitation, but that is the limit to the type of fireworks you can use in town. And just as a reminder, fireworks are prohibited within the Black Hills National Forest Fire Protection District, which essentially runs north of Cheyenne River and west of Highway 79 to the Wyoming border. Now, City of Hot Springs doesn't manage all that area, but that's free information. Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
No, as Bill said, there was quite a bit of discussion after the last 4th of July, and council landed on these changes. We certainly weren't trying to keep the changes from anybody. It was out there for people to read and watching the council meeting. So we didn't do this in a vacuum. Anyone else? All right. On the committee reports, for some of the folks, we're going to have 2 reports here, but Admin Finance, JR, Melanie?
Admin Finance met on June 6th here at the Mueller Center at 1 o'clock. Present was Mayor Bob Nelson, Finance Officer Misty Summers Walton, Chair J.R. Huddleston, Co-Chair Melanie Wilson, yes, Councilwoman Deb Johnson, City Administrator Jeff Temple. Old business, however, highway fuel system repairs and agreement is under discussion between Jeff and the county. ARPA, $633,320. Update from state on second tranche. Black Hills COLG standard revenue loss covers salaries and wages. Wastewater infrastructure improvements. Wastewater $252,165,000 digester lid, $108,491 lid, and $143,673.70 to install. Wastewater $97,500 clarifier arm. Water $400,000 additional water line needed from Dale's Family Restaurant to Minnetonka. Discussed all with approval from council on the digester lid and install and the clarifier arm. Discussed the CDBG grant, $200,000 for water wastewater. Discussed the $400,000 additional water line needed from Dale's to Minnetonka, and the second tranche of approximately $315,000 will be coming soon. New business, review monthly finance officer report, end of May report, out of the red in the general fund, sales tax is up. We're getting the 2% remote tax from online sales. Full audit readout will be July 5th. CD is due at the end of the month and one is due in July. Contingency transfer resolution will be on the agenda. We had that tonight. Committee member items discussed the election canvass. Date was Monday, May 13th at 9. 2023 budget and training and planning discussed. Updates, PD Homeland Security grant for 5 mobile computers. Initial cost estimates all paid by Homeland Security grant of $64,500. Ongoing added expense, $5,800 estimated. That was tabled. Updates, additional costs related to water and wastewater replacement, road project, ongoing review and discussions necessary. Added expenses to date, $39,368.69. Northwest Pipe on 4/19/22, $15,662.30. Northwest Pipe on 5/2/22, $9,512.60. Northwest Pipe 5/16/22, $7,540.31. Core and Main on 5/16/22. Original contract $1,727,507.65. Number 1 change order $1,965.73. Number 2 change order $45,981.53. New contract price $1,775,454.91. This was all discussed. Community access road grant, streets around the school update. Tracy's working on the extension. Discussion related to public access to city-owned equipment. That was just a discussion. Travel training request policy review, determining when overnight travel is reasonable and necessary. Review 4 recent examples. Training requests need to be more timely and reviewed with department heads. We need a closer review. Propane tank at the city shop, new gauge. Gauge is not installed. We need a decision for it to be installed or returned. Water usage and sales at airport. Crop spraying, seaplane, $7.50 per 1,000 gallons. An event parking charge at airport, $5 per event per day. Brick B request. Water usage discussed and assigned to the airport advisory. $5 a day parking to possibly be discussed during budget hearings. Signed by me as the chair. Meeting adjourned at 2:40 p.m. Next meeting, July 5, 2022 at the Miller Civic Center, 1 o'clock.
Any questions for JR?
The gauge with the tank, they can't change until they're out of propane.
Yeah, we're aware.
It's
Right, we're aware. We actually had a small leak, so it may be sooner than we thought, but we repaired the leak, and as soon as we're empty, we will contract that to have it installed.
And I don't know why that isn't in Public Works. We're the ones that brought it up.
It started in admin finance.
Yeah.
So. The $5 parking fee, that was simply discussed. There was not a decision that was made on that.
No, I actually talked to John Becker with the South Dakota Department of Transportation, and he's checking into the allowability of that, and will get back with me. I visited with him at the finance officer school.
All right.
And I should also point out, Mayor, you're right. No decision's been made to even move forward on that. And it's not, certainly not for this year. If anything, it'd be in the future.
Yep. Just wanted to be clear with that so that the public didn't misunderstand anything, that we're going to be charging a $5 parking fee out at the airport. All right, any questions for JR? Melanie? Do you have anything you wanted to add?
He covered everything.
Thank you. Airport Advisory, Bill?
Okay, Airport Advisory met Thursday, June 2nd, 8:30 a.m. at the airport. Members present were Shane Miller, Don Connor, and Mark Boxbaum. Employees present were Rick Breitenbach, Jeff Temple, and Tracy Bastian. Elected officials present were myself and Mayor Nelson. Guests present were Charlie Baker with KLJ Engineering, and Rod Watts and Chase Fallow from High Country Erectors, and Gary Telkamp and Luke Johnson. There were no communications from the public. Under old business, the Family Fun Day, all of the participants but one canceled, and so the decision was made to cancel the event. Discussions are ongoing with the Balloon Festival organizers to determine if they can combine and have one common event. Hangar update. At the time, the building design was on hold due to collateral load issues. The wind load cannot be met if all the doors are open. The KLJ structural engineer was checking to see if the High Country Erectors proposal is acceptable. The day after the meeting, we did receive a note from the KLJ structural engineer that the current design is considered adequate. High Country Erectors will start site prep once the building goes into production. And once the issues are resolved, they expect delivery early to mid-July. City Hangar commercial tenant update. The shop is about 95% set up and the contract is signed. Current city hangar and the old hangar are both fully utilized. Our May fuel sales were 725.39 gallons. We had approximately 50 flight operations, 42 balloons, and 20 glider flights. There's one seat plane station that should be at the airport all season long. Last meeting, we acted on the recommended price increase to $6.15 a gallon. At that time, the average price was $6.17 a gallon. Just for council's information, the current average price is $6.64 a gallon. And at the time of the writing of the minutes, the wholesale price was $6.32 a gallon. So more than likely in the next council meeting, we'll be asking for another price increase. We did discuss airport event parking fees. We discussed the pros and cons of the issue, realizing that if such a decision was made, it could not be implemented until 2023 at the earliest. We reviewed the airport activities application form. It was distributed and discussed, the purpose of which is to ensure communications between event organizers and the airport manager. Items from the members, the balloon launching area has been changed for the haying period in order to protect the quality of the hay. And we discussed services provided by the airport manager, such as weed control around private hangars and snow removal between taxiways and private hangars. The weed control is the responsibility of the airport sponsor, but more discussion is needed regarding snow removal. Meeting adjourned at 10:06 a.m. and our next meeting will be Thursday, July 14th, 8:30 a.m. at the airport. And just to note, that is a change to the second Thursday of the month, not the first Thursday.
Just a one-time change or a permanent
One-time
change?
Any questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management, Larry?
The Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management meeting was called to order at 7:02 p.m. on Thursday, May 12, 2022 at the Mueller Center. Members present were Mike Lindy, Dean Weekly, Peg Ryan, Dan Frieden, Dee Anderson, Larry Pratt, Les Cope, Joe Massinio, and Roger Horton. The treasurer's report was presented. Fees associated with providing credit card payment services was reviewed. Carrie Barker, landfill contract manager, report that some of the fencing was rebuilt and replaced. Gravel has been hauled to provide fill-in several areas of the landfill road, and Barker's continues to work with FMG for a proposal for a 3-sided roof structure for garbage drop-off. Jason Hines' report as follows. FMG is working on the Phase 2 closure final report and documentation for submission to Danner, potentially by the end of May. Work continues on a draft of the permit renewal planning documents, and a 6-month update of the financial assurance calculation will be presented at the July meeting. Weekly suggested the planning documents for the 3-sided roof building contain plans with and without an area for future placement of a grinder or other needed equipment. Motion to approve the third contractor's payment for Phase 2 closure and water drainage projects in the amount of $23,649.70 by Massinio, second by Ryan. Deputy Secretary Treasurer reported on the progress of switching vendors for credit card processing, which vendor is TSYS Merchant Services. No public comment. The next meeting is the annual meeting scheduled for July 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Mueller Center here in Hot Springs.
Any questions for Larry? Thank you, Larry. Historic Preservation, Deborah?
They met June 1st at 5 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Present were Steve Wienia, Brian Crawford, Mike Summer, Kara Hagan, and Joe Mueller. Additional present were Scott Sogi, myself, Mayor Nelson, and Amy Waters. We had a report update by Sarah Beckton regarding the window dressing project for empty buildings. On the Bodega building, new glass was installed. There had been broken glass, so that was installed. And then the next week after that, there was a plan to build display cases by the school shop class. She was testing paint colors for the front and was looking for a water source to carefully power wash the paintable section of the front of the building. And the owner, Lance, has been in communication with Scott Sogi regarding gravel fill for the interior of the building. On the Petty building, Marty Malenke is participating in a rummage sale, and then we'll be focusing on painting the exterior parts that are paintable. The Mammoth and school projects after the painting, She's got a bunch of kids' projects that'll be going into those windows. On 243 North River Street building, she received a final rejection from Robert Johnson the first week of June. Sadly, his issues with the city are clouding his decision to participate, even if it's no charge to him to do up a window. However, she did receive a First Interstate Bank grant to cover the majority of the costs. Since the building at 243 is not participating, they'll now can order lighting and commission a student artist to do some painting and possibly put benches in front of the bodega. And because of the support of the Save Our Sandstone group for the financing, they qualified for the grant. Under old business, at 145 Chicago building, Marty Malenke has visited with Scott, again replacing the ceiling. Oh, this is the Petty building, I'm sorry. On replacing the ceiling joists that have been damaged from the fire that was in there several years ago. So he's moving forward with interior improvements, it sounds like. At the 609, 611 North River Street, which is the bodega building, Marty also visited with Scott about facilitating fill materials for the inside to bring the flooring up to grade level. And at the 243 North River Street, which is to the right of City Hall, Scott has visited with our city attorney, Garland, on proceeding with the fine documentation for demolition by neglect as per city ordinance. Motion was made to print an addendum to the ordinance section of 32.06 Historic District Commission, that the Historic Preservation Commission assumes the duties of the Historic District Commission as per South Dakota codified law. That was seconded and passed. We're now seeking clarification from Garland as to his comment regarding the fine as listed in the codified law, Chapter 1-19B-52. It discusses the language on locating the section in the codified law and when discussing the fines. A motion was made to accept the recommendation and passed. Also discussed, we'll also suggest to Garland to modify Chapter 32.08, Certificate of Appropriateness, Administration Section G to read Deterioration by Neglect, SDCL Chapter 1-19B-52. In accordance with this chapter, any property owner permitting deterioration will, by willful neglect of any designated historic property or any property within an established historic district, shall be punished as provided by South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 22-6-2. Each day shall constitute a separate offense and shall be punishable as such herein under Class 2 misdemeanor, as provided by the Codified Law 1-19B-52. Each day that a violation continues to exist shall constitute a separate offense. Discussion items, Mayor Nelson is to call the SHPO.
State Historic Preservation.
State Historic, thank you. Preservation for clarification if the printed legal description from section 32.02 is needed, as printed map showing the outline will be used. So instead of having each property with their official description, we just want to put a map with the outline showing where it's covered. And the meeting adjourned at 5:47. And the next one will be July 6th at 5 o'clock here at the Mueller Center.
Any questions for Deborah? Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Evans Plunge Advisory, Linda?
Okay, the Evans Plunge Advisory Committee met on June 9th, 2022 at noon at the Plunge. Present was the committee chair, myself, Linda Varvel. Committee members were present were Chris Hansen, Kathy Wren, Okoye Zimiga, Tom Nas, Allison Ritter-Bush. Troy Lurs was represented by Dennis Fisher. Mara Smith and Barry McNair were absent. I reported on the Hot Springs High School collaboration on training and classes from the City View, that the city is in agreement with moving forward with the classes at the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs. And I told them that they need to, someone from the school needs to reach out to our city administrator, Jeff, to work out the particulars and do a memorandum of understanding and determine if there is anything that needs to be worked out. Wendy Bilbrook is the business manager at the Hot Springs School, and Dennis will be talking with new staff to see who will take Troy's spot on the committee. Staffing issues were presented by Okoye and Chris, and they report that they are currently at 9 at the front desk, 9 lifeguards, and plus Okoye, and 4 part-time janitors. And they will be losing another front desk attendant and just terminated one. On recreation swim lessons, Kathy reported that she is moving into the final week of lessons for this session. Outstanding turnout of kids this year, and things are running smoothly. Okoye presented saves since our last meeting, and she reports 0 saves. So no accidents. Additional information, Chris shared admittance numbers with revenue reports year-to-date and 2021 for comparisons. Our next meeting will be July 14th, 2022, noon at the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs. And we adjourned about 12:30.
Any questions for Linda? Thank you, Linda. Parks Recreation, Larry?
Okay, this is pretty old, so bear with me here. Meeting started at 2:02 p.m. In attendance were Gerald Colligan, Alderwomen Deborah Johnson, Linda Varvel were present, Barb Walters, Dwayne Stanley, Jeff Temple, and myself. No cemetery or parks report was given. I have a letter from Rec Department to read. This was given on June 6th. Hi, Larry and all. I want to say a few things as much as I just couldn't get to the meeting last week. First, thank you very much for the Butler's Court Gate and new light bulbs. The pickleballers are especially grateful. Also, City Parks stood out this year in a big way with 3 trucks and trailers to move gymnastics equipment to Taze, and during week before Memorial Day to boot. We know how busy all are in getting cemetery ready. Thank you. An open gym, our basketball is up and running with full court play Monday nights and pickleball Tuesdays with 4 courts. Summer rec, here's a few highlights. We have the most activities and variety to date and an array of instructors and assistants this year. They are doing a fantastic job. Swim program is a close second to gymnastics this year with highest numbers, and the public seems very happy. We've only turned away about 4 kids due to lack of class availability. Baseball began games in the last 2 weeks. Girls softball is back with games starting today. Ever popular gymnastics includes 3 summer school classes, 1 Bethesda daycare class, and 9 general public classes. Golf is a big hit with a record high, and high school coach David Merrill seems pleased. On new business, the water fountain at Centennial Park was talked about again. BART is working to fix the fountain, has a plan for repairs. Marty Malinke wants to know what it will take to fix the fountain, needs to talk to city administrator. The dogs at Butler Park are still an ongoing problem. Dogs off leash, dogs pooping in park with no cleanup has been observed. Dog park and the fencing material has been bought and still looking for someone to put the fence up. That was talked about earlier. The old business, the grill at Brookside, donation from Black Hills Federal Credit Union for grill. Waiting to hear from Bart on follow-up for installation of the grill, and I think that Black Hills went ahead. Yeah, they approved that, so it's a go on that. The unfunded priority list, waiting on committee to come up with ideals to present to City Council in the next 30 days. Sons of the American Legion are looking for suggestions as to how to remove flagpole from ground so it can be placed by the band shell. The meeting ended at 2:35 p.m. Next meeting will be July 6th at 2 p.m. at the Mueller Center. The public is welcome.
Any questions for Larry?
The new fountain will be in Thursday in the park. I talked to Billy this morning and looked at the fountain. They'll have it up and running by Thursday. They won't have the pump for it because it don't come in till next week. They have an old pump that will work through the weekend.
Do you know what's holding up the roof at the Brookside shelter?
The walls?
Well, not yet. There's no roof being held up. That's my question. Where's the
As
roof?
I stated before, we didn't have that on the agenda, but we can get that put on the agenda, okay? Thank you.
That fountain, it has a special light on the top. Don't know if they'll have it this weekend, but there are different lights that show up through the water. Kind of neat. Yeah.
To your question about the roof on at Brookside, I made a note to reach out to Kelly Cape and see if he's got some thoughts about when the guys will get back together. They're getting older.
Yeah.
Probably can't afford the plywood.
We already bought it. The city bought
all the materials are purchased.
material.
We have the materials.
Ready?
All right. Thank you, Larry. Planning and zoning, Deborah?
Planning and zoning met May 18th, 7 p.m. at City Hall. Present were Don Olsted, James Forbord, Dwight Wienia, Wayne Hageman, Christine Heidebrink, Scott Sogi, and Carrie Pyle. Guest presents were Mr. and Mrs. Grant Phillips. Under new business, number 1, Grant Phillips at 817 Happy Hollow. They want to create an access and a usable area to build an accessory building on the west side of their property. Mr. Phillips described his property and explained that he needs to change and erect the building. There is an issue with water pooling on his property from the road. The property consists of 2 parcels with 2 frontage setbacks, one on Happy Hollow and the other on Hickory Street. The house is in the middle of both parcels. Olsted suggested talking to the street department to get the road graded to reduce the impact of the water runoff. The owner will install a proper-sized culvert for his driveway approach. No other action is necessary. Number 2, Peters Tract and Getch Tract, the interior lot line revision to create 2 lots. Sogi explained location of the land with handouts and brought it up on an overhead screen. The lot line revision is being addressed by Anderson Engineering for the owner, Quality Real Estate. The commission all agreed the proposed lot meets the necessary criteria, and it was motioned and approved to recommend to council for approval. The Fellows Track, the vacation of 17 foot of Catholican Avenue. Sogi explained that 17-foot vacation was a previous request that wasn't recorded. The land is already being utilized by the landowners, and the plat change process is the legal procedure necessary to complete the vacation request. The motion was made and seconded and approved to vacate 17-foot. Number 4, Jennifer Phillips, South River Street land access. Sogi explained the owner, Jennifer Phillips, needs access to the property. This land was sold at a sheriff's sale as is. The commission determined Ms. Phillips needs to work with the neighbors for an easement. No action was needed. Number 5, the Gosel Tract property. Surveyor improved land description. This property is the land left over from Block 1 Trimmer Edition after all the parcels were platted. The county is requesting an improved definition of the legal description. was motioned by Olsted and seconded, recommending approval of the request to give the parcel of land a better legal description of Block 1. Under old business from April 20th, commission meeting, the Calvil's attorney, Stephen Titus, is to make contact jointly with the city administrator and the surveyor as the next step and get the legal survey worked out. As of 5/18, Stephen Titus had not made contact with the administrator, so I don't know if he has yet or not. Martin Tract, number 2, new subdivision with 5 duplexes is being proposed. The owner would like to combine and expand the land parcels to be able to implement a PUD for their development. And the Martin Tract is down by the highway below Boulder Falls entrance off of 71. The Canton Street RFP with the new governor's homes. Review of the unfinished developing work in the ROW and lot drainage to the neighbor's property. That was part of the builder's responsibility per Holt Homes RFP. The commission agrees there needs to be a short wall to divert the water. Olstad will talk to the mayor and the city attorney about responding and completion of the RFP. Number 4, additional dwelling units options. The question was raised, do we want 1 unit to be owner occupied? It was stated, quote, if the water service is large enough to handle the usage, there shouldn't be a requirement to put another one in, unquote. SOGI is reviewing and applying the commission's recommendation and editing the plan. Number 5, annexation information. Since this is election year, the commission decided it would be best to wait till after the election to proceed further. And number 6, Jeff Castle at 1301 Sheridan Street. He's a new owner, was exploring a reduced front yard setback. The commission determined the setback needs to meet the code requirements. The meeting was adjourned at 8:25. The June meeting was canceled, so the next meeting is July 20th at 7 p.m. in City Hall.
Any questions for Deborah? Garland, to Holt Homes, we had talked about you drafting a letter to Holt Homes. Where are you at with that?
I do have an outline, and I know there's some issues such as that drainage issue that I want to confer with probably Scott or Jeff, so I can put that in that letter also.
All right. Yeah, we need to get that out to him.
Yeah.
And then Deborah, you had mentioned something about water services, one water service.
The additional dwelling units, like if someone has like a mother-in-law house or, an additional, like something in the backyard.
And my recollection is that was a recommendation from Planning and Zoning, but was also kicked back to Public Works. And our city ordinances say that there will be a water service to every dwelling. Yep. That's in the current ordinances, and that's also the recommendation coming out of the utility ladies, that it's really better to do that. So
if it's just like a guest suite for the homeowner, would they have to get a separate water?
A separate structure on the property?
Separate hookups, separate.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. We'll have to bring that forward.
All right.
What was you talking about vacating where?
There is 17 foot of Catholic, and I can't tell you the address. It's not on here.
Alley or street or?
Catholic and Avenue. Is it Fresno? Which?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
That back in 1954 or 57, that land swap was made. And we need to determine whatever has been recorded at the courthouse is adequate for those property owners somewhere down the road if they want to sell the property to know that it has been added to their property.
So that 17 feet was added back to the property that was originally taken in the 50s?
The 17 feet that was taken on the north end of the lots was given to the property owners on the back end on the south end of the lots.
Okay.
But there's a question of, did it get recorded correctly? And if not, then we need to go through the vacation process to get the property back to them, and the city will need to absorb the cost for that. We've already absorbed the cost for the surveying of it. This is something that needs to be corrected.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, Deborah.
Yep.
Public safety, Bill, JR.
Okay, public safety met on Thursday, June 2nd, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Present were myself, JR, Deb, Larry Pratt, Emergency Manager Frank Maynard, and Captain Phil Shively. We adopted the agenda with the addition of talking about compliance to Title 15, Chapter 155-004H2 and 155-020B8. You'll all be excited to hear about that.
We did.
Under the update from the police department in May, they responded to a total of 499 calls, 55 of which were high-risk calls. Since this is a fairly old report, this is going to be old business to you, but the new hire started on the 13th of June. Officer Peterson's last day was the 3rd of June, and Officer Engel graduated from the academy on the 3rd of June. And we're continuing to look for a used patrol vehicle. And we have 3 to 4 reserve officers that are being considered, and I think we've added 2 to the workers' comp at the last council meeting. Under old business, the house number update, we've got no updates on that. No update on the fuels reduction grant. Under traffic sign requests, public safety concurs that a stop sign should replace the yield sign on School Street at Cold Brook for the safety of the park users. We also discussed the merits of putting the traffic control sign on Cold Brook at Hot Brook Canyon Road, since Hot Brook Canyon is a thoroughfare, but we're still talking about that. Under new business, we talked about RV parking for the Main Street Arts and Crafts Fair, but we actioned that at the last council meeting. We talked about, got a report from Public Works, we discussed fire hydrant maintenance, and we also talked about the communication plan for the fireworks ordinance, which we talked about tonight. The item that we added that needs some discussion is that within our zoning ordinance, 155-004H2 allows only manufactured homes within mobile home parks. And there's currently a growing number of RVs in various mobile home parks in the city. As this may result in access issues for emergency responders, the issue needs to be more thoroughly investigated to determine what action, if any, needs to be taken. And that action may be we either need to revise our ordinance to allow an RV in a mobile home park, or specify distances to allow emergency responders, or notify the operator of the mobile home park that they can't have RVs there. And also 155-020B8 limits the time of occupancy within an RV, not in an RV park, to 90 days. If it's determined that RVs can be placed in a mobile home park, this revision to this ordinance is likely needed. So more to talk about. So we adjourned at 2 p.m. and our next meeting will be July 7th, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center, chaired by co-chair J.R. Huddleston.
Anything you want to add, Chair?
I don't want to do it.
Thank you for your opinion.
Any questions for Bill or JR?
I got a question about the RV parks and stuff. How does a camper or RV get in the way of an emergency vehicle when they're in the original lots?
Some of them aren't, is the problem. They're putting campers right up next to trailers. Yeah, but I agree with you, Craig. If you got a fifth wheel sitting where a 40 or 50 foot single wide normally goes, what's the problem? And that's kind of the issue. If there's not a problem, we need to fix our ordinance. If it is a problem, we need to address it. But
what the ordinance said, they allow a camper or something in an RV park for 90 days?
Outside of an RV park, our ordinance says you can only live in an RV for 90 days. So if we go by our ordinance and somebody parks an RV in a mobile home park year-round, they're technically in violation of the ordinance. So
true.
It's just a matter of saying we got to throw everybody in an RV out. Let's just get our words right.
Didn't we change that while John was here to allow that for short term only? While John Gregory was our city administrator, that addition was made. There are places for RV parks that are not mobile home parks, and so I thought that we made that addition just recently to allow for short-term RV parking in those types of parks. And now we're talking about just allowing it all the time?
Well, we modified our zoning ordinance to allow an RV park.
I thought we also addressed this 90 days at that time because there were people that were doing it already.
Yeah, maybe that's when we put the 90-day in, but I'm just saying that there's practices going on that don't currently conform to our ordinances. So once again, we either need to figure out, are we going to enforce our ordinance, or if it's not appropriate, we need to change something. Needs more discussion. JR.
More discussion. I agree. We need to make it right, but I don't think it's right now. It's too ambiguous. And
There were some other issues that I think have been cleared up that I think we're okay on, that were a bigger concern. I think I'm better now.
Thank you, gentlemen. Public Works, Craig.
I'll pass. Okay. On May 31st, new business, fire hydrant pressure at Edgewood Terrace. We talked about that in Public Works. There's nothing wrong with the fire hydrants. We got a 4-inch main feeding all those fire hydrants up on that hill, and it needs replaced. So that's what the water department's gonna work on eventually, to replace that. It's 1 block long, and it needs replaced so that they have the water pressure they can have up on the hill and stuff. That's the problem they had during that fires, because it wasn't the hydrant, it was the water pressure. Trees in the alley at Catholic Church, we decided that we will take it down because it is a hazard. And I told Billy whenever he gets time that it needs to come down. I ain't going over the old business because it's the same thing on this other one. So I mean, I can tell you that, and I'll tell you that again if that's, do you guys want that? No.
Just one time.
On June 13th, we talked about the Fall River cleanup, and we talked about tonight. So that's all you get here. Additional Highway 385 construction related cost, we talked about that tonight. That's all you get here on that too. Micropile drilling update. They're supposed to be on the 3rd phase soon. Are they on that yet?
No.
And they're supposed to clean up them, and I don't know if the city's gonna run the sweeper. We talked about that. The 2 sections that's done, so they have good parking for the arts and crafts. Are they cleaning that up? Good. I know they did the first section. I don't know how good, but I haven't been down there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Is the city gonna run the street sweeper over when they're done?
Not at this point.
Not at this point? I don't think, is it broke? 'Cause I haven't seen it out at all.
I haven't heard that it's broken.
I haven't seen it out. Okay, Battle Mountain Road. There was something I was called, and then evidently Bob must have been called or something. The property along the road has dumped gravel leading into the place that they have blocked the drainage. This has caused the water to cut across the road. What it was is they sold some lots up there, and the guy put gravel to access his property. I took a run up there, and I mean, as far as I know, it's legal, you know, because Game Fish and Parks or somebody owns the mountain and the road going to the top. So if it's illegal, they need to talk to them. Trimming trees in the alley, street maintenance department will happen in the fall because they're too busy to do it now. The drainage on Valley View Drive, it's going to happen this summer. We just don't know when. Wastewater treatment plant improvement updates. Contract is going out for one person that did it. We contacted them, and they're gonna, and I forget which one they're putting in, but one of them we don't have a contractor to do, but the other one they do. So one of the 2 at the wastewater treatment plant's gonna get fixed. I just don't know which one at this point. I've slept since then, excuse me, and I didn't write it down. Boardwalk Hill, old business. We talked about that. Tracy brought it up. It's in your packet, everything it's gonna cost to do it. That's just the upper part. He didn't have the lower part in that too, did he?
Yes.
Did he? He said it's gonna be spendy, so I don't think we can afford to do the hill at this point. We're gonna do that up top because it's water, gotta pay for that. And we'll see. Code enforcement, we had the 3rd letter's gone out. We had one person in that he wasn't on the list, so I ain't gonna talk about it. And that was because of the nuisance property. Well, sorry guys, I don't even remember his name. Boardwalk Hill, that's probably okay. Battle Mountain Road needs millings. That's supposed to be done this summer. It's another one of those things when Billy and the boys get around to being able to do it. Lease agreement, that's on hold with the land the city owns at Simon's until we decide what we want to do. Contact snow removal, it's something that Jeff and Dave and I are supposed to be going over. We're waiting for Jeff to contact us when he has time. Summit Road, we're looking to put a fence, and I was talking with Misty today, and I agree. Maybe if we just tried a couple signs, it'd be a lot cheaper to fence for now and say like, stay off hill, dangerous, something like that.
Do not climb. Stay
Yeah,
off.
do not climb. I mean, because a fence, right now, we're kind of strapped for cash, guys. It's
gonna be expensive.
With everything that's going on. You know, I know it's dangerous, but in the parks plan, if you look at the parks plan where all those logs are, that's in there for people to climb on. So, I mean, that's kind of dangerous, but it's in the parks plan that they put together years ago. Where was I? Fire hydrant pressure, I went over that. Tree at Catholic Church, I went over that. Move light pole in the bypass. Billy wasn't there. Billy has to talk to DOT. It's one that keeps getting hit. So Billy thinks maybe if we move it, it won't get hit so much. I mean, it's been hit a lot. Community garden, they have water now. Deb gave us a nice talk about how that's going so far. She's keeping an eye on that. Good job, Deb. The DOT sidewalk, we're taking that off of there. We don't think it needs to be on there anymore. The clubhouse, retaining wall, nobody's bid on it. So Tracy's gonna look into someone to do it. We'll see what happens. North Fall River cleanup project. It's on here twice, I don't know why. Must be from Bob that did this. They're supposed to be doing that. Dollar General Road, we had a discussion with those guys. I don't have the piece of paper with everybody's name that was there, so I apologize. They want to vacate it. The landowners, it has a lot to do with where it joins them. Both of them's in favor of vacating it. I don't know about the VA, you know, maybe they'll say it's okay or don't give a darn. But I forget what he's got to do next. Help me out, Bob. What did he say? He has to go?
They have to go start the vacation process.
Yeah.
Is that because they didn't build it to plan?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to buy the property right behind so that they don't have to, there won't be a road through there because they'll own the land. And the two adjoining property owners came in and they were in agreement with the plan.
When they built the road, the contractor they built it not up to code, so they'd have to tear it up. And this is the cheaper way for them. But we don't, Dave and I, and all of us agreed only to give them a couple months, so I don't know what's going on from that. And he seems to think he'll have it done before that, so we'll see. That's it. Our next meeting is June 14th, 2022 at 1 o'clock at Mueller Center. Public is welcome.
Would it be the 28th?
Huh?
June 14th? Today's the 21st. I think your next meeting's the 28th. I might be wrong.
Next week, yeah.
Well, Bob Nelson didn't print that on it.
Oh, any questions for Craig? I know how to fix that.
Yeah, have somebody else do it, Jeff.
Starts with a C, I think.
Or D, Dave.
A couple things. In your info side of the packet, Tracy prepared some costs related to Boardwalk Hill. There's actually two costs there. Craig was talking a little bit about them. The Albany Avenue at the top of Boardwalk Hill, that's a repair that needs to be done. And the cost of that repair would come out of the water department because it was a water leak that caused that problem. There's a lot of damage up there. If you get a chance, take a look at the road. The asphalt is just kind of rippled. The bigger concern is because the water leak didn't actually just kind of poke its way through the road and it stayed under the asphalt and followed the road down. That's the reason that you see so much damage up there. There's also concern about the ground underneath it. How is that been affected. So the asphalt needs to be taken off and take a look at what's underneath and, see what needs to be fixed there. So the top of the hill absolutely needs to be fixed. Boardwalk Hill itself is closed indefinitely, and I'm asking you to support keeping it closed indefinitely. It has the same kinds of problems as far as the water undermining the asphalt and the roadbed underneath it. I understand that there's some folks in the public that view that road as very handy, especially the fire department as they're responding to calls. But as we look at costs, the upper part is, I'm going to round this off here, we're looking at $95,000 on the upper part, and we're looking at about the same cost on Boardwalk Hill itself. And we have a lot of repairs in the city that need to be taken care of on cost. So at this point, I just don't think it's prudent of us to put $100,000 into Boardwalk Hill itself to get it taken care of. So that's what I'm asking you folks to support on that one, and that's the costs are there. That Tracy provided for you. The clubhouse wall repair, as Craig said, nobody bid on that one. Tracy has been trying to talk with the contractors to see why they didn't bid on that one. We're at a point right now where the wall isn't failing as such. It needs to be fixed, but I think we can hold off on that one. Jeff is very hopeful that a lot of the changes that he's put in place at the golf course will generate additional revenue for us that could potentially pay for this wall down the road. But we need to give his plans a chance to see whether we're going to generate some extra revenue there. They've got the sandbags up along that wall. I think we can hold off on that one and not look to spend the money for that one. So that's where we're at there. Thank you, Craig. Jeff, Southern Hills.
Can I do this in 30 seconds?
Yep.
Golf Advisory Board, I won't tell you who was present, we'll skip that. Met on June 13th, was the last meeting. Discussed the foundation or the wall repair, which the mayor just briefed you on. We're going to hold off on that. The committee concurs that we should probably wait, given the grants, all the other issues. Air conditioning repairs were completed, and we avoided having to do a complete replacement right now. The revenue year-to-date totals are about 19%, roughly 19% over last year. Membership numbers have increased from 146 to 186 this year. We just wrapped up a couple of tournaments, Memorial Day, the real estate realtors tournament. So I've been busy out there with that. New point of sale is on being installed this week on the hardware side, hopefully by the weekend. Well, I'm not going to tell you when. I like to hope it's by the weekend we're ready to go on it. We're still kind of working two systems at once. The course looks good. The car repairs on 15 are done. One issue that the committee did concur with is that we do have some private property. We do have some golf course, for lack of a better word, golf course that crosses private property, for lack of a better way to say it. So we are going to prepare to do a survey on those three properties where we know we cross over and build the golf course on private property. So we're going to get ready to submit a survey on that. Next meeting is July 11th at 6 p.m. at the clubhouse. Subject to your questions.
Move into your next one.
Move on, City Administrator Report. We cover, as always, we've already covered most everything in my area. Jennings Bridge, as you know, is reopened. Arts and Crafts Festival is this weekend. I will note that the Southern Hills Recreation Initiative has purchased or is purchasing equipment and supplies for the installation of a new outdoor grass volleyball court at Butler Park. I would expect installation late summer, early fall. And we'll have a newspaper article. The draft is done. I need to get it reviewed regarding the online tax revenues or tax revenues from online purchases. It's pending review and edit. And that's all I've got.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Misty, bring us home.
Well, I was going to do mine just as quick, but Garland wanted an opportunity to make some comments.
Shoot.
So he can take mine.
Thanks a lot, Garland.
Yeah. Well, this is sort of a financial comment, so I think it would fit. I'm planning on going camping on the next council meeting, so I won't be here to make that announcement then. As you may know, we have a judgment from 2016 concerning, what is it, the Community Action Building that we demolished. We have that judgment. Basically, we created a lien on a property in Custer County. The sheriff's sale is all set up and it's proceeding. The auction will be July 27th at 10 a.m. So I figured I want the public and y'all to know about that, because whatever the auction brings is what will cover our judgment, which is somewhere in the $90,000 to $100,000 range. I don't have the exact number. So hopefully with everything, talking about increased costs and everything else, this is kind of some good news for the city.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my monthly finance officer report was from June 6th, and we've talked a lot about the things already that were on there. They've already passed. The only things I would add that we haven't talked about are our ordinance revisions. We have 4 that are either new or modified that have been submitted to American Legal, so we're just waiting for them to update them. That's why it's important we put the fireworks one on the website, because right now if you went to our ordinances, it's not on there because we passed it since the last revisions were updated by American Legal. I give you an update on the municipal budgets, and I got all of the department heads their versions with expenses and revenues today, and Jeff and the mayor and I will be sitting down with those projections on Thursday, and then Jeff will be meeting with the department heads to fill in the blanks on those budget worksheets that we've been working on. We are seeking applications for full-time administrative assistant at City Hall. City has excellent benefits and decent pay. We give typically 2 pay raises each year to our employees. We pay 100% of employee health insurance, and it's a great place to work. So anyone who's interested in seeking a full-time position with the city, this is a great opportunity to do that. I want to take a moment to share that we're still looking. I hoped to finalize applications by the end of June. I wanted to keep it open for at least 30 days. At this time, I have 3 applications with 1 more that needed to submit that said she was interested. I'd like to have a few more. So if you know anyone looking, City Hall is hiring. That's all I have.
Any questions for Misty? All right, thank you. I'm not going to bore you with the mayor's report. Most of what I would have talked with you about anyway, we've talked about in the agenda, the different discussion items, and making you aware of those kinds of issues. So with that,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for your time, everyone.